Good morning, everyone. Nick Black here in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew. Lots of pews for those of you Easter. Those are some Easter pews. So I hope everybody's doing good. Welcome to Alternative Wealth Daily Live. We're going to go a little bit longer today because we've noticed that we get all these questions that back up on Tuesdays, and we don't usually get to answer them all. Sometimes we don't even get to answer the 4 or 5 questions we have, and then we have questions from last week. So we'll spend a little bit of extra time today on questions. We're going to talk, obviously, we're going to go through the market. We haven't really gone through the market completely in a few days, so we're going to do that. We'll do our market update. We'll spend a lot of time on your questions, but specifically, I'm going to make sure that everyone doesn't screw up the AGIX airdrop. There was some interesting things that happened yesterday, the 18th, in Cardano and NewNet and AGIX. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about SEC restrictions and maybe some, Republicans not super happy with Gary and company. We will talk about Metamask. There's kind of a clever trick that people are using to steal all your stuff through Metamask. We don't want them to steal all of your stuff. So I'll go through that and I'll tell you what I did. I'll tell you what you can do. And so just like some basic kind of housekeeping stuff. Other than that, we'll go through some questions. So let's kind of get into it. Let's look at the markets first. So that's going to be where we kind of start today's adventure. So let's see, if we can, let's throw up our screen share and we can jump on these markets. All right. Give me 2 seconds here. Perfect. All right. So you will notice things are kind of green. Total market cap is right around 1.99. Let's call it 2 trillion in the crypto space. That's not bad. After Easter, what we saw on Sunday, Bitcoin sold off a little bit. When you have, and we've talked about this, when you have really, really low liquidity, then you get weirdnesses. Because always keep in mind that not all of the Bitcoin in the world is being traded. Matter of fact, very little Bitcoin is being traded. Very, very little Bitcoin is being traded. There's less than 2 million left, and there is less than 2 million totally available on exchanges. And I don't know that this message has really gotten out the way it should, but there is less than 2 million Bitcoin left to be mined, and then separately on all of these illiquid exchanges being traded by sketchy investors, these mostly illiquid assets, there's less than 2 million total Bitcoin available to be purchased. So if someone said today, I want to buy 2 million Bitcoin, they could not. Can't be done. There's not that much Bitcoin left. Now, obviously, if the price spiked up, people would run into the market and say, I just found some Bitcoin. Like Mark Karpellis after MT Gox got robbed and then he found 200,000 Bitcoin. He just found them. He's like, we got robbed. It's all gone. They put some handcuffs on him. He's like, oh, wait, I did find these 200,000. I found those. Oh, did you find them, Mark? Did you find those? Just found them in a wallet. Just found them. So anyway, whatever. But as the price would go up, you would imagine if someone was like, I'm buying all, 2 million, whoever could do that, that would be quite expensive, but that would jack the price up, and jacking the price up would bring a bunch of new sellers to the market because obviously that's an exit for a lot of people. So anyway, you're seeing in the most liquid asset that exists, you're seeing a lot of illiquid behavior, which is incredibly volatile. And it looks like, a meth addict's EKG. And so you get these weirdnesses. So in these anemic days, it happens it used to be a joke. The joke was like, over any holiday over like 2 days, what are the Chinese markets going to do in these illiquid markets? Is Bitcoin going to go up by 7,000 or down by 20,000? Like it was every year around Thanksgiving, Christmas, Chinese New Year, any of these holidays. And this is back when the Chinese were trading Bitcoin, which they are not effectively trading Bitcoin now. But when they were, you knew it was coming. 100% shenanigans would be had in anemic markets. But that's not really telling the story of future use utility and adoption and this kind of peer-to-peer payment network, which is what Bitcoin started out as, that's transmogrified into a store of value that doesn't really have anything to do with inflation, which is probably another topic for another day. But I think, who knows, maybe Garrett and I can get together in Chicago and just do a seminar on what the F inflation actually is. I feel like if we cleared that up for people, it would make life so much better. Anyway, so Bitcoin got beat up 2 days ago, and it kind of melted its way back up. But you'll notice that over the course of the month, it didn't make that big of a difference. It's still down 26% on the year. And that's why it still looks juicy. A lot of these assets right now, when you're trying to figure out, well, where do I lean into them? Which direction did I go? Hopefully you have a relatively balanced value-based portfolio. And then you look and say, well, what's down over the last 90 days or over the last year? And that's how I will rebalance. You say, well, where would new currency units come for rebalancing sake? They could come from new money that you're entering into the market, gains you may have taken somewhere else that maybe you don't trust those markets, or it could come from staking rewards. And so we will talk about that a little bit today. I'm going to make sure you guys don't, is FUBAR a term we can use? Well, we're going to use it. You don't FUBAR your new net allocation, because those of you that have AGIX either in a Metamask wallet or staked at Singularity Net, you have some new net tokens coming for free, which is great because free is just about like my favorite thing. It's my favorite number, actually. 1, 2, free. So anyway, cool. Ethereum, what's going on? Nothing. Everything's pivoting, if you'll notice, pretty much off of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 5.4. Ethereum's up 6. Same. Back out. You always back out the performance of Bitcoin to kind of get an idea what the market's really doing, because still mostly things are priced in terms of Bitcoin, right? Things outside of crypto are priced in dollars. Things inside of crypto are kind of compared to Bitcoin. Now, that may change and evolve. You would imagine it will over the coming years. One of these protocols, or many of them, are probably going to, you'll hear the term flip, the flippening, where their market cap is bigger than Bitcoin. That is going to happen at some point. It's a numbers situation in that Bitcoin has 21 million tokens, right, which can be subdivided into 100 million little pieces called Satoshis, giving it a market cap of right around 800 billion. Well, Ethereum, which is clunky, gross, terrible code, impossible to implement, gets nuked every day. There are more problems than not. Solidity is harder to code than not. It's easier to screw it up than to get it right. Like, there are so many problems with Ethereum, but it was the token that people used to launch projects from 2016, 17 on. Was the first readily available smart contract platform. It was the first place you could go, and within 15 minutes, you could launch your own token. Now, most of those were illegal, scammy, Ponzi junk. There's like 12,000 plus tokens. It is what it is. But Ethereum was, I think it's probably going to end up looking like MySpace. Now, they're trying to convert away from proof of work, which is all of those computers all over the place, all doing redundant work. And then we give them some fees and they promote transactions, to proof of stake, the way Cardano, Polkadot, Near, Cosmos Matic, Algorand, go down your list, the way they function, which is much better use of electricity, even though the whole electricity thing is bogus. There is no, Bitcoin is not threatening the world. All of that stuff is idiot juice. When you hear people say, oh, well, we're switching, we're going green, this is why, just a quick side note, Algorand is doing this thing where they're renting like all this advertising space in Times Square to show everyone how green and efficient their mining is. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin at its worst is, I think it's less than 0.1% of world electricity. And you say, well, what are some other wasters? Literally every other industry lights electricity on fire like it's completely worthless. There's more like in burnt off natural gas, like the gas they have to burn off, the irrelevant gas they have to burn off, is way more valuable than all of the energy that BTC wastes. And so that whole argument's really, really flawed and silly. So don't get caught up in those kind of, well, Bitcoin's ruining the world and all this. Bitcoin's not ruining nothing. The electricity companies are more than happy not only to sell and subsidize electricity for Bitcoin miners, but it's built giant ecosystems which focus on green technology, because that gets the cost of electricity cheaper. Which, you think it's only the people in the Bitcoin space that are using this green technology? No, it's the whole world. So they're actually pushing the green initiative more than the people that are screaming that Bitcoin is burning electricity. So that whole thing is silly. Don't enter into those arguments. Just kind of leave it alone. And real quick, SHIB is in my portfolio to look at, because it's important to know what idiots are doing, right? It's important to know what the VCs are doing, because what are VCs? They're venture capital. They don't believe in crypto. They're just creating coins basically out of thin air, or promoting coins that they find and selling them to you, to retail investors, and laughing at you because they don't care. They're not owning these things. They're not holding them. They're dumping everything they have on your neck, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. They don't care. There is no institutional money in crypto, not really. There's hedge money, hedgies, so hedgies and insties, right? Hedge money is just looking at ways to arbitrage, either information asymmetries, like I know stuff you don't, therefore I'm going to do something. By the time you figure it out, you're buying it, like what happened on Coinbase the other day. They put out their little report. I don't know if you guys knew this. On the 11th, I believe, of April, they put out their report about which tokens are going to be considered for launch in Q2 and Q3 on Coinbase, right? This list. And they thought, well, if we do this, then people won't, there won't be the auspices of impropriety, like we leaked the information. Only when some people were checking some Ethereum wallets, they found a wallet that was acting on that information 24 hours earlier. So even when Coinbase tells the world through their virtue signaling and everything else, hey, we don't want the Coinbase effect. We want information symmetry, not asymmetry, right? And they put out their report. They, of course, leak the information to somebody who traded off of it a day earlier. This is always going to happen. The other thing, too, is that, so you need to know, I guess, let me to reduce that. It's important to know what idiots are doing, and that's why I look at things like SHIB and Doge. It is what it is. You can say what you want. You can make excuses for it. Those are idiot tokens. They're run by well-intentioned fools. They're usually owned by the foolish or people that got fooled. If you own SHIB or Dogecoin, that's fine. Just understand why you own it. You own it because you think there's a bunch of idiots piling in, and you're going to take advantage of those idiots. It's a greater fool token. If you're okay with that, sweet. Just understand why you own it. All right. It's important to know what VCs are doing so that you can look at projects like Solana and realize that it's just a thug token. It was pushed by VCs. Proof of history doesn't work. They decided that security wasn't really as important as scalability. They lie about transactions per second. They lie about stolen tokens. The team stole, flat out lost 12.3 million tokens. And this is when the price was over $100 a token. It's probably close to $200 a token at that time. No big deal, right? You guys are cool with the team pocketing like $300 million. They got called out. They got caught, and they got their laundry aired out on in the Twitterverse. And everybody said, hey, what gives, bro? And they denied it and denied it and denied it. And then someone showed the transactions and showed the tokens. Matter of fact, this is what's funnier. They didn't just lie about the tokens. They lied to the exchanges. So they weren't just lying to the people that caught them. They were lying to CoinMarketCap. They were lying to Binance. They were lying to all of the aggregators that look at pricing information. And at that time, those exchanges didn't even know. So when you looked at the market cap, those tokens didn't even exist in the market cap. They just weren't there. And they said, but here's the proof. They exist. And they said, okay, fine. You caught us. We were going to give those to an unnamed market maker. Now you can read into that whatever you want. Maybe that was FTX. Maybe that was the VCs. Maybe that was them having it in their back pocket. It's probably a combination of those. Because again, Solana is from the very beginning, it is a dummy coin. It's where you use a bunch of techno babble and you fool people that don't know any better into believing you, right? Like when some software engineer is like, giving you all this prattle about, this and this, you're like, oh, okay, I guess we should fix those, whatever you just said. Let's get that fixed. How much is it going to cost? So they entice you and overwhelm you with psychobabble. It's a bunch of BS. And you go, wow, these guys are so smart. Proof of history. Why didn't I think of that? Well, why didn't all the other projects that are proof of stake think of that? Well, they did think of that, but they didn't want to sacrifice security for scalability. So they lie on the tokens. Then when they finally got caught, they said, okay, listen, it is what it is. We realize this looks bad. There's actually almost twice the circulating supply that we said. Mulligan, we'll get them and we'll burn them. We're going to burn them. So of the 12.3 million tokens, anybody in the chat want to guess? Of the 12.3 million stolen tokens that they got caught stealing, 100% red hand caught stealing. You want to guess how many they burned? Anyone? Want to air out a guess? Three. And then when they were asked about the other, 9 and change million tokens, they said, let's just move past this. It's like somebody, your neighbor's like murdered their spouse and they're under the couch. You're like, they're under the carpet and like a leg is sticking out. You're like, but I see the leg. Where's your wife? And the guy's like, let's just get past it. I can't get past it because I can't move my chair because there's a leg sticking out of the carpet. Anyway, that is Solana. It's a VC coin. It was pumped on a bunch of idiots. They techno-babbled a bunch of people into going, oh my God. Now, Solana still might find an interesting place as just an NFT token or something like that where there's not too much traffic on it because it probably works just fine in low traffic conditions. Whenever the traffic gets heavy, the whole thing melts down and breaks. I use this example. It's not the only example, but it's one of the more recent examples of how VCs can totally flummox the whole world. Even relatively savvy investors. I find a lot of people that don't understand any of the reasons that a lot of these projects are flawed. And they're like, so what? Price is going up. Yes, but the price is telling you what's happening right now on a few illiquid exchanges. The price is not telling you what the future looks like and the realities of the technology. This is why we have our 5 T's, right? Some way of going through these assets and figuring out where value is and isn't. Because if you don't have some kind of metric, some kind of sensor that you use, then you're going to be stuck listening to technobabble and listening to people try to hammer you with words that you haven't really heard and you don't want to disagree. This is the Michael Saylor effect. He gets in there and talks to people, and if you ask him questions about Bitcoin and go, hey, wait a minute though, your company, a publicly traded company, is MicroStrategy. You guys are just buying Bitcoin with everything you've got. Matter of fact, you're borrowing money against your Bitcoin, collateralizing loans to buy more Bitcoin. And he's like, yeah, like, cool. But then when you get out and talk about Bitcoin, if Bitcoin succeeds, you personally succeed and MicroStrategy succeeds. So how is that not sketchy? Oh, well, I'm not telling people to buy MicroStrategy. I'm telling them to buy Bitcoin. Right, but MicroStrategy is basically a de facto Bitcoin fund. So isn't that a little weird? And he's like, let's get past that. And then he starts hammering you with jargon. And you go, oh, Michael Saylor. He's so smart. Whatever he says, I believe it because Saylor. No, man. Don't let people throw. Whenever people start hammering you with words, say, wait, what does that mean? I'll tell you why I'm hammering on Solana. If you may be missing the point. I guess you probably did miss the point. The point is that you need to be able to see this stuff without having to rely on somebody else. You have to have a way you can look at the actual use, utility, and adoption and the value proposition of these assets. That isn't somebody giving you a bunch of words that you don't understand and you just get your eyes glaze over. Otherwise, you own a bunch of stupid stuff. If you didn't, maybe I wasn't clear enough about that. All right. So the other thing I thought was interesting, remember, when markets go up, everything goes up. Price is not that interesting. You just look at the high flyers. So who are the kind of high flyers? Well, Near is resistant on these market vacillations for the most part. It's gotten as low as about $15. It's gotten as high as about 20. It continues to escalate. Near right now, this second, is what Ethereum endeavors to become as they transition over into proof of stake. Right? And so, and by the way, if you had sold Solana when I started talking about it, because no one else wanted to say anything, you made 45% by not riding it all the way down from its all-time highs. But some people don't like gains, and that's okay. Everybody, listen, when I first got into the market, the guy that trained me in markets, Tony, he said, listen, not everybody's supposed to win. Not everybody's supposed to win. It is what it is. Okay, let's see. What's up on Meta? You want to play the metaverse real easily? Go long some options in Meta, Facebook, formerly Facebook. That's how you get Meta exposure. Look at all these Meta funds. If you just want a fun experiment, look at all these funds that are metaverse funds. Hardly any of them hold crypto at all. You know what they hold? Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon. Those are the ones that are going to build the metaverse, bro. It's not going to be a handful of small illiquid assets that have no volume. It's not going to be AGIX, not probably, because those games are not really so great. It's not going to be Decentraland because there's about 1,000 people a day playing, and that's not anything. And it's not going to be Sandbox because no one cares about buying a little blocky piece of junky property next to Snoop Dogg's little blocky junky piece of property. However, interestingly, I read an article. Fortnite is going to build out some kind of social commerce amalgam inside Fortnite. So I would look for that to be something substantial. Okay. So back to Near. Near is the layer 1 that Ethereum would love to become. It'll be very interesting to see if people, so the merge is coming for Ethereum. You guys know what this is? This is when they are transitioning to the first part of proof of stake. It won't solve anything. It won't, the fees will not reduce at all. That comes later with sharding. What happens right now is just that it goes from proof of work to proof of stake. You'll simply pay the validators what you were paying in high fees to the miners. Nothing changes. The experience doesn't get any better. It may get a little faster. Transactions might get a little faster, but probably not, they're saying. And this is not me. This is coming from the devs that are press releasing what their progress is as they approach the merge. Then they're saying that the actual changes in Ethereum as far as fees and things like that, well, that's going to be sometime in 2023. And if you read into that, that actually means 2024. And then the problem Ethereum's going to have is, okay, they've merged to proof of stake, and how come things still suck for Ethereum? Now, Ethereum has a giant market of NFT. The NFT space is priced in Ethereum. No one buys or sells any NFTs, not really, in Bitcoin or much of anything else. Solana has a little bit of an NFT market. Matic has a pretty decent-ish chunk. The NFTs on Near still being built. Polkadot don't really exist. Cardano, they're garbage, if we're being honest. I love Cardano. I love the project, love what they're doing, but their NFT marketplace is terrible. Algorand, not really existent. So it's important to understand that we're still very early. And Ethereum is the commerce token of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. But that space too shall grow. And right now, it's just a bunch of degenerate gambling. So I'm not sure that Ethereum can maintain its market cap advantage. I don't think the price is going to get beat up that bad. I do think that Cardano, Polkadot, Near, Matic, Cosmos, Algorand, some of these other assets that are trying to become layer ones, I do believe they're going to start grinding away at the future market cap. So if you imagine a balloon that's expanding, I believe the lion's share of that expansion will be not in Ethereum, but will be in these other assets. And Ethereum should go. There's no way to know what any of these assets are going to go to. But, guessing about price is a fool's errand. What you should do is try to imagine, what do you think the world looks like as far as the entire crypto market cap? How much would it expand? And then what would that mean for these individual assets? Which is why you want to own a pretty even distribution of all these layer ones. Even Ethereum. I have a lot of Ethereum. I don't so much believe in it, but I'm not going to leave it behind because, as you know, these markets are insane and they can do insane things. You guys hear moon birds, these dumb pixelated birds. They raised since, I think, Friday or late Friday, Saturday, they raised in an NFT sale $290 million. And they're pixelated birds. And it's pixelated owls. They are awful. The artwork is awful. It's completely irrational gambling behavior by a big giant pile of rubes. But you know what they're doing? They're spending Ethereum. So just because I don't believe in the future of something as much doesn't mean I don't want to own it, right? There's a lot of things I don't like about Amazon, but if I'm an equity investor, matter of fact, if you are too, you probably own it. If you own any index fund, if you're in Vanguard, anything, right? It's part of the passive indexation effect. So there's just a handful of assets that you want to own. And in the crypto space, you want to own, I believe you want to own a lot of the future Web3 plays, which is the protocols, which is infrastructure. All right. Some other standouts. Nexo token kind of performing quite well. And look at forget the daily, but look at the monthly, the 90-day. It's down on the 1 year because it got up. I think it was closing in on $4 for a minute, but it was definitely well in the threes. This is a token that if you use Nexo and you want to borrow against your digital assets, this allows you to do so. So that's really cool. All right. Other assets that I thought were interesting. Render it's kind of floating in the middle. Render is probably going to get usurped by NewNet. The idea is with Render that you would have these other, you would have companies come to Render and say, hey, I have all this high density film content. Like, let's say I made a 3D movie and I shot all this stuff, but now I have to have it all rendered and turned into 3D. And I need to have all the backgrounds colored and all this kind of stuff that you do to make a film, a lovely film that you can go watch and eat your popcorn and you love it. So they would farm that out to a bunch of people, and you would have your computer and my computer and Bob's computer would all contribute in the rendering process. And for that, we get paid in render tokens. So they get to get the rendering done a lot cheaper by using this big group of people and these dormant resources, and we get to get paid. It sounds cool, but they're not really getting it off the ground. So I don't know what happens to Render. I already kind of made my original money and I pulled my investment off the table. So when you have this is a lottery ticket. When you have lottery tickets, which should be about 5% of your portfolio, if you see a quick double or a triple in that asset and you know that you only quasi believe in it, it's okay to clip the position, cut it, take your original investment out, and then you have zero stress. And just real quick, I love all the AI tokens. Steve-O, I love them all. I love Fetch. I love Singularity DAO. I love Matrix AI. I love AGIX. I love NewNet. I love them all. But I love them all for many years from now. So if when you decide to invest in these assets, these AI assets, understand that this is a really long game you're playing. Okay. Really long game that you're playing. But if you're right about it, probably many hundreds or thousand X's are going to come out of this space. Now, is it going to be just these assets? Who knows? There could be 20 more AI assets today after we finish this conversation. But right now, this is the way you own the space. You own it, and this is the way you would weight it, in my opinion. AGIX, Fetch, Singularity DAO, NewNet. And then your lottery ticket in there is Matrix AI Network, which is a spammy dumpster fire token. But when the markets go up, this thing rockets. I've seen it well over 12, 15 cents. It's 2 cents. But it's gambling 100%. There's nothing about this company that you would like. If you read into it, you'll be unhappy. It's gross. It's stupid. The network sucks. Staking sucks. Everything about Matrix AI Network sucks. Except that when people are rushing into AI to get AI investment, they'll see an article on Wall Street Journal or Forbes. They'll go, what is the cheapest AI crypto? And it's like Matrix AI Network. And then they buy it because people don't understand that because the price is low, because it's, you can have 10 billion of one coin and 100 trillion of another. And if they're both the same price, they're not the same price, right? The one that has less tokens, the token price being the same is actually higher because there's less tokens. Does that make sense? Whereas you can get a large market cap on a crummy token like SHIB because there are gazillions of tokens. And a bunch of idiots go, man, like they actually do this. They go, if we can just get 1 or 2 more zeros. What they're talking about is getting a bunch of compliant rubes to buy in to start chopping away zeros as they approach one integer, as they approach 1, right? That's the idea. If we can just chop zeros, like what does SHIB do? Nothing? But we're going to chop zeros. What? That's not, what are you talking about? Yeah. How are you going to do that? I'm going to get on Twitter. Oh, dear God. All right. Well, so that's the market as we see it. Now, I want to talk about what happened yesterday for AGIX and NewNet and then what not to do. First of all,
before we do that, Nick,
yes,
we have a little bit of time before we head to the Q&A. Why don't we check out the crypto headlines that we have here? We have the Republican lawmakers accuse the SEC of restricting crypto. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you anything about it yet because I think we need to cover... let me cover the NewNet, what you need to do because a lot of people are holding those tokens right now. And just real quick, go to it's newnet-airdrop.singularitynet.io. Tell you what, I'll put it in the chat so that you don't get a bad link. And what that is those of you that have AGIX tokens, do not move them. Don't move them. Now, yesterday, thanks, RJ. Yesterday, you probably heard that AGIX, over here, that AGIX and NewNet, you can now convert those tokens across a bridge to the Cardano versions of those tokens. That's absolutely true. You can do it right now this second. But don't do it. Do not move your tokens. Right now, the way the snapshots work, if you want it, there's going to be 4 payouts. One already happened. If you own AGIX, you're going to get NewNet tokens for free, given to you. Yay, for free. If you move them, A, you won't get them. B, the way the 4 payouts work, these airdrops for owning AGIX. And Carlos, the best way to own AGIX if you don't own it is to just swap into it through MetaMask. That is the easiest way. Now, you can actually go to Cardano outlets, some of the swap platforms on Cardano, which most of them suck, to be honest. But you can go there and you can swap into the Cardano AGIX token. You can also buy AGIX, both versions, on KuCoin. However, the easiest way is to use a MetaMask wallet. And with your MetaMask wallet, you simply swap because there is an Ethereum version of the token, and that's the old token. Now, the airdrop is based on the Ethereum AGIX token, either staked at AGIX or just simply parked in your wallet, which is fine. Okay, that's fine. Don't touch it. Don't move it. So again, please take this information. Do not move, adjust, or do anything to your AGIX tokens. You can add, but if you subtract, you will screw yourself. Here's why. You have the first 3 of these payouts, about one a quarter, where they're going to give you NewNet tokens based on how much AGIX you have. Cool, right? The 4th one, which would happen around October, November, is a payout to people that have not adjusted in any way. You can add too, but if you subtract from your AGIX, if you move them to a different wallet, if you do any kind of weirdness, then as it stands right now, they may readjust this, but as it stands right now, you would lose the 4th payout. Think about all the people that are going to invariably do stupid stuff. They're going to move their tokens for one reason or another, and they're going to lose the payout. Now, the way the payout number 4 works is they have a pool of tokens. I think it's like 50 million that's going to get distributed to whoever is left. Whomever is left. So if you're one of the people that's left and everybody else dummies out of it, guess what you get? A bigger portion of what's left, because there would be less people in the pool. And you want that because that is free money. And I think NewNet is going to be a very big thing. But again, it's several years away. But if you can bank these tokens for free just for owning AGIX, and let me tell you this also, that's not the only thing. If you owned AGIX, this time last year, we were talking about the Singularity DAO airdrop, which was really good because that token got as high as $6. Again, you got them for free. Their Rejuve is coming. Mindplex is coming. Sophia DAO is coming. Hypercycle. I don't know if they're going to, I don't know what Hypercycle, how that's going to work as far as airdrops, but essentially every company or side project that launches underneath AGIX, SingularityNet, they give you 5% of the new project is distributed to the AGIX token holders. So as they continue to release verticals, then we all get portions, allocations of these tokens, which is super cool. So in a sense, if you have 100 tokens, and again, this is not the number, but if you have 100 tokens, you get about 5 from NewNet and about 5 from Singularity DAO, and about 5, but it actually ends up being more because people screw up. They move their tokens, they do this, they do that, they sell, they swap, they oh, I lost my this, I lost my that, and you end up winning just by doing nothing. So I urge you to win by doing nothing. Now, the something you have to do is you need to go and register each quarter. You need to register. The next registration is tomorrow at this time. You will simply go to the website that RJ and I have given you, newnet-airdrop.singularitynet.io. You will connect your wallet, and there's a registration button. You will click it. It will give you a green thing and say, you're registered. Woo-woo. Then on the I believe it's the 26th, so this time next week, you're going to have free tokens waiting for you. You can claim them or you can wait. As long as you've registered, you get the tokens. You can claim them anytime up to late November. I think RJ, you had said November 22nd or something like that. But you have a long time to claim them, which is cool. If you have, I think the line in the sand is 2,500 in a wallet. I think you have to have 2,500 in a wallet to qualify for the airdrops. Okay, cool. So that is how the NewNet airdrop works. So if you remembered nothing else, it is don't move your AGIX tokens. And tomorrow at this time, click onto here to newnet-airdrop.singularitynet.io and register, which means connecting your MetaMask wallet. Okay. And if you've staked these at SingularityNet, your AGIX tokens, it's the same thing. You still connect the wallet that you used to stake the tokens. That's the same difference. You register and you got them coming. Yay. And then in a few days, we can all talk about what we're going to do with all of our winnings. All right. Whew. Cool. Got to that. All right. Should we get to some news now? I think we have. The MetaMask thing. Yeesh. Okay, so the MetaMask thing is interesting and kind of scary. So let me jump over to, do we have that article? Can we bring that up, the MetaMask article?
Yes, we do.
Let's take a look at that because that's kind of interesting. Why do they keep giving us these weird things? Okay, so there's a scam going around where, and basically it's like this. You know, for those of you that are users of any Apple products, occasionally you get these weird text messages or these phishing kind of scams where they try to get you to divulge your iCloud information. Well, Metamask is advising users to disable your automatic iCloud backups of its wallet data to prevent hacks. That's specifically on if you're using Apple devices, but I would just do this as a general rule. I don't do auto backup on my phone. I have an extra backup of my phone. Like I always keep 2 phones and I have a backup, but I don't do auto downloads. I wait. If there's a security upgrade, I'll do that. But anyway, MetaMask is notifying its users that the data backups in Apple devices can possibly lead to stolen funds. The warning came a few days after one MetaMask user lost $655,000 worth of assets due to a compromised iCloud account. Yeesh. You do not want this. This is not good. MetaMask, a popular Web3 wallet, which we all use because it is a great wallet, cautioned that automatic Apple iCloud backups could be a risk factor that can allow hackers to steal funds. The wallet software maker has advised its users to disable such data backups. So I actually just turn off my iCloud backup on the phone. Just turn it off because you don't need it. There, right? Like, unless you just have to have those selfies on there by tonight, you don't need to back up your phone every 13 milliseconds to the iCloud, right? So the MetaMask team stated in a Twitter thread Sunday that users' funds can be stolen if they've enabled a backup of MetaMask data on their mobile devices. Such a compromise could occur if someone gained illicit access to the sensitive app data uploaded to iCloud, particularly via a phishing attack. So this would happen if they attack you and they get a hold of your iCloud and then they unload your MetaMask, right? So this isn't going to happen unless you've also gotten locked out of your iCloud because they phished your iCloud. But sometimes, and this is what they do, they'll give you a phone call like, this is Apple, please call, you've had a security compromise or whatever. And you call and it tells you to click a few buttons and numbers and log in and verify, and you're actually giving them access to your account. So again, the rule of thumb in the whole world is that you never, ever divulge your private keys to anyone ever. Right? So when you get weird text messages, oh, Apple services, don't answer it. FedEx, UPS, text messages, don't click links. Don't ever click links. And if you're ever asked to divulge your iCloud passphrase, don't do it. Do not. Ever. All right, cool. If you have enabled iCloud backup for app data, when this is on the Apple devices, this would include your password encrypted MetaMask vault. If your password isn't strong enough and someone phishes your iCloud credentials, this can mean stolen funds. So they still have to get your personal data. Now, what you might do, you might say, listen, this is all scary. I think it might make sense to go and change my passwords to something a little bit more secure. I think that's a great idea. Go slow. You don't have to go fast on any of this stuff. Slow is fast, because fast is you might lose something. And we don't want you to lose something. The whole point of making all these currency units is not to give it away to some jerk that's stealing all your stuff. All right. So go slow. Slow is fast. All right. The warning came a few days after MetaMask user named Dominic Lacavone claimed to have lost several NFTs and its estimated net worth of $655,000 in total losses after someone took over their iCloud account. So their iCloud got taken hostage. Well, not hostage; they just took it. And in that, then they attacked the MetaMask data, and I guess they unlocked the wallet. Anyway, it appears to have happened is that the hacker gained control of his iCloud account and the stolen wallet's key store, a file with a JSON format that held an encrypted version of the wallet's private key needed to authorize. So look, I'm not going to go through the rest of it. The way he got hit was it started with a phone call. Now, what did he lose? He lost some Bored Apes. He lost the Mutant Ape. He lost 3 Gutter Cat Gang and a bunch of ape tokens. We could have a whole different discussion about the stupidity of this guy's profile, of his portfolio, keeping his net worth in ape JPEGs. That's a different discussion for a different time. Suffice it to say, he lost his stuff. His stuff is gone. So that is not cool. And the incident occurred due to weak operational security from him, coupled with a native feature on Apple devices. So just be very careful and slow down. Cool. All right. Why don't we talk about these Republican lawmakers real quick? What do you say?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it. All right. So he's going to throw it up there, but we've got an interesting situation where Republican lawmakers are accusing the SEC of restricting cryptocurrency exchanges in some recent rulemakings, which is kind of fun, right? So 2 Republican lawmakers, I love it when Republicans get angry. Well, I love it when anybody gets angry, because then you see, it's kind of like, what people say when they're drunk is what they mean when they're sober. When people get really angry and start saying stuff and they're like, I didn't mean it, I was angry. You did mean it. And you were angry, and that's why we got to see without the filter. So 2 Republican lawmakers have taken issue with the SEC commissioner's recent rule changes. Now, this, weirdly enough, this has nothing to do with ETFs. On April 18th, Representative Patrick McHenry of North Carolina, Republican, and Bill Huizenga, I think that's how you pronounce it, of another Republican, wrote to the SEC Chair Gensler criticizing the commission's recent rulemaking as it relates to crypto. The 2 proposals in question, one from January and one from March, push for expanded definitions in terms that appear in the 1934 Securities and Exchange Act. Maybe it makes sense for people, maybe we want to rewrite just the whole thing. Maybe the 1934 Securities Exchange Act is not sufficient in 2022. I'm just going to throw that out there, but that's probably crazy talk. In general, the rulemaking seemed to require crypto exchanges to register with the SEC as exchanges and market makers, and they basically have to register as broker-dealers, which they aren't. Now, I think a degree of registration of regulatory oversight makes a lot of sense, especially for these companies that are holding our currency units. But we got to be a little bit honest. Like, the SEC can't stand by and say, your markets don't exist. Your markets are fake. Your markets are a joke. Your markets are all the things that they've been saying. No to an ETF, no to a spot ETF. No, doesn't exist. You're fake. You're not real. You're wolf tickets. And then go, oh, wait a minute. Now you're real. And we're going to change 2 words in the 1934 Securities Act. And now everybody's going to get arrested. What they're doing is these little changes have pretty big effects. And so let me continue. According to today's letter in response to the rulemaking, the SEC fails to identify the problem that the rulemaking are intended to solve, particularly as it relates to requiring certain market participants facilitating digital asset transactions to register with the SEC. The letter also criticizes the length of the rulemakings, saying, we are concerned that the proposal rulemakings total nearly 800 pages. A show of hands. When's the last time anybody here read an 800 page? Anything? Man, I just bought a Lamborghini. And if the manual was 800 pages, I try to read the manuals. Nope. That's right, Kurt. Nope. 800 nothing. So how on earth, what they're doing is they're making it this giant, indecipherable, techno-babbly, impossible. So what they're doing is they're making it so nebulous that they can indict anyone for anything. And there's so much crosstalk in this regulatory craziness that no one would know Are we allowed to, or what we do is, are we illegal? Are we not? I don't even know what the rules are. That's on page 743. Go see subsection on page 626 that relates to paragraph 1, subsection 3, paragraph 7 on get off the gas, bro. And who writes these things? That's a whole other thing, right? Anyway, we're concerned that the proposed rulemakings total nearly 800 pages and include more than 300 questions for comments combined. McHenry and Huizenga both sit on the House Financial Services Committee, with McHenry serving as the top-ranking Republican on the overall committee. Several of their colleagues wrote to Gensler back in March over the SEC's unofficial probes of a number of unnamed crypto companies. Earlier this month, Gensler called for greater oversight on the division of crypto firms' different businesses. Now, I agree that there does need to be obviously oversight in these markets. These are real markets. These are the newest asset class. They absolutely need to be regulated because there's far too many scams, theft, insider trading, all the things, all of the scary, evil things, except for like the whole thing about drug dealing and the pornography and all this kind of stuff. First of all, you hope that if you have a new technology, the porn industry runs with it. They are kingmakers. But so what? People want to watch their porn. Okay, fine. That's personal choice. But you don't punish the currency used to get there. So as long as there is a thoughtful regulatory structure, I'm all for it. Matter of fact, it'd be great because it would make it a lot easier for the real institutional money to come in and actually invest. Remember, VCs don't invest in crypto. Okay? They suckle it dry like a leech. And then they go to the next one. VCs do not care about crypto, and they definitely don't care about you. Institutional investors, which aren't really here yet, but when they do get here, when they feel safe, when there's a regulatory structure that by their bylaws of whatever funds they manage allow them to enter the space, that will be a good thing. They're not here yet. So we're so early still. I know we talk about it all the time, so it doesn't seem like we're early, but we're very early. All right. Whew, we got through it. So the Republicans unhappy with Gary. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they have these rule changes. We'll see if they restructure 1934 Securities Exchange Act. We'll see if anything changes or if they just leave this a big nebulous ball, which I don't think they can do forever. We will see. Okay. Moving right along. I think we got some questions. Should we start digging into these questions?
Yeah, let's go for that. First one is, question for Nick. Does Coinbase now have the same pricing as options and options as pro, or do you need to sign up for Coinbase One and pay a fee to get these options and lower fees?
No. So when you are on Coinbase, so Coinbase Pro and Coinbase are the same thing. If you have a Coinbase account, you already have a Coinbase Pro account. You just use your same login information. Now, on Coinbase, because people were complaining, if you click on, there's a button, I think it says advanced trading. You can enter limit orders. And that was the difference. Coinbase, the regular blue Coinbase, did not have limit orders. It was market orders. Market orders charge a higher fee, usually around 2.5%. Limit orders, it goes down to 0.5%, which is way better. That means you're paying only 20% the fees you were paying. So you can use Coinbase. Make sure you do advanced trading. Also, remember, if you want, you can use Coinbase Pro. You can transfer your funds from Coinbase into Coinbase Pro, and you can trade right there. However, they've allowed people to do it right there. So click advanced trading, use limit orders. You win. Bam. All right. Next question. What do we got? Something about stable coins I hear.
Yeah, next question is, are stablecoins printing money out of thin air just like the Fed and Treasury?
Well, I'm gonna throw this one to you. What do you think?
I think yes. Stablecoins are clearly printing money all the time. We know that Tether is the biggest stablecoin at like almost 70 billion market cap, and we also know that they only have like they have less than 4% of that in cash. So they're always printing money. And we know that every time there was a big spike in Bitcoin move, it was Tether that was also having a small movement. The next stablecoin that we have is USDC, and we know that that one is 50 to 60% backed by cash, so that's probably the safest one. And then the other one that I know is DAI, but I don't know anything about how DAI works.
So then you get into the algorithmic stablecoins. You have Paxos, you have Gust, which is the Gemini twins' flawed attempt at a stablecoin. Because other than Nifty Gateway, just about everything the twins do is pretty flawed. But the Gemini exchange is junk. It's just a place for them to sell tokens, their own stuff to you. That's fine, whatever. Good for the Gemini twins. Nifty Gateway is great. However, most of these stablecoins, they're going to get regulated into history because they are all completely wolf tickets. Listen, if someone said, hey, the best collateral I have is only 50% backed by actual stuff, the rest of it's just, whimsy, fairy charms, snake oil, you go, what? Wait, hold on. Tether is backed by nothing. Now, to be fair, the US dollar is also backed by nothing, except that the US has jackbooted thugs, warships, and nuclear weapons, and the taxing power of the US government. Tether does not. What Tether has is a whole board of individuals that have been indicted and are awaiting sentencing in the Southern District of New York for all sorts of things that sound a lot and smell a lot like fraud and corruption. Oh, because it's fraud and corruption. So it is what it is. Listen, and there's some very smart guys there. And I also don't agree with everything that New York did against Tether. Now, Tether lied over and over. That's their problem, right? If Tether had just been honest and said, yeah, we don't have any money, it's all fake. It's all fake. I don't think people would care because right now everyone knows that Tether's fake and they still don't care. It still trades at parity with the US dollar, which is insane because they make money out of thin air. They click it into existence. What Tether does is what the Fed has never been able to do. The Fed can't print money. All they can do is do bank reserves. It's a inert asset balance swap. Well, the gods bestowed upon Tether the ability to click money into existence. And even though you know it's fake, people are still willing to use it. It's the craziest thing, and it is what it is. So yes, stable coins are absolutely printing money out of thin air. Some are only half printing out of thin air. None of them are completely backed by any real collateral. And the more you dig, the less you like what you see. So, and remember though, when you say just like the Fed and the Treasury prints money, the Fed does not. So just understand that those are two big animals. The Treasury doesn't really even like the Fed. They've always been embarrassed by them, like as far back as they go, and they don't really respect them. And you shouldn't respect the Fed because they're not really a central bank. All right. And then real quick, I will just address these so we can leave you, and we'll see you again on Thursday. How do you know what validator to use on Near? I just use the top one, whatever's the one with the most people in it. That's the one I use. I keep it simple. And then is the vault option on Coinbase a good security option? I think it's a great option. I do keep some Bitcoin in their vault. Just for those of you who don't know, Coinbase Vault allows you to set up a private vault to put your assets in. And even if someone gained control of your account, they wouldn't be able to get those assets out for an extra 48 hours. It gives you plenty of time to get in there and say, hey, my account got attacked. But again, you're relying on Coinbase. And Coinbase could just take your money in the same way that the U.S. government just decided that if you're if you're at all Russian, your money doesn't count. Your MasterCards don't count. None of your safe liquid assets count. If you own government debt, it doesn't count, which is a whole other thing for a whole other day. Anyway, we got through it. Let's call it a day. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. And listen, real quick, everybody's not meant to win in crypto. Everybody's not meant to win in investing. And if you don't like the message, then you got to go do the research. So I don't know what to tell you. I can never make everyone happy, but I might be able to make everyone rich. No, I don't think I can say that either. Anyway, stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk struggling on meth grandmother wouldn't do. We will see you Thursday. And I deuce out. Pew, pew, pew.